In today's video, we're gonna pick apart downward facing dog and talk about how to keep our spine long and what exactly needs to happen with our legs. In downward facing dog, we have a misconception that we want to have our heels glued to the ground. And that's a misconception because in our yoga practice, we're looking to continue lengthening and strengthening things. And if your heels are fully on the ground, there is nowhere for you to continue reaching down. It essentially limits the amount of length that you could find in your legs and to some degree in your spine. Rather than having your heels on the ground, think about having your heels slightly lifted off the ground. For some of us, it might be a lot more depending on the mobility and flexibility of your legs, but jamming your heels down is not the purpose of the pose. Reaching your heels towards the ground and leaving a little bit of space for them to actually continue reaching down is going to give you more of that length you're going for. But what we tend to see a lot in downward facing dog is since we want to get our heels down and we want to get our legs straight because that's what the yoga teacher said, a lot of us, if we don't have the mobility, end up somewhere like this, straightening the legs, but then rounding through the spine. And if that happens, great, our ego is happy because the legs are straight, but then we're crunched and rounded in the spine, which is not the purpose of the pose. We want to create length in the spine, lengthen the legs, strengthen the shoulders, strengthen the quads, and strengthen the core. And in order to do that, we're looking for straighter lines. I don't want to say straight because the body is not straight, but we want straighter lines through the body. So prioritize the length of the spine over the length of the legs. Spine is always king and queen. Yeah, so if you're in your down dog like this, spine rounded and you're like, holy shit, this is really heavy, this is really hard, bend your knees, push the ground away, and think booty to the sky. Think nipples to your knees. How far can you press your chest back without jamming your legs to straight? Now, there's a place where that's too far, right? If you start to go into a back bend like this, that's too far. We don't want a back bend. Take the back bend out, press the ground away, wrap your shoulder blades wide around your rib cage, and only then do you start straightening the legs out. And you might find that there's a spot where you start to straighten your legs, you can't go any further, and the spine rounds in response. That is what we call your edge. And you get to find that edge, the spot where you can go to the max before something else falls apart. And that's where you work it, okay? Yoga is not a practice where we just like do the thing and then ta-da, it's perfect. It's a process. Trust that your body will change over time. If you're here, and if you're not sure, you can do this next to the mirror or even film your practice. Bend your knees, send your chesticles towards your thighs, lift your booty nice and high, press the ground away, and then work towards lengthening through the legs. It's really not about jamming the legs down and letting the spine compensate. It's the opposite. Prioritize the spine and let the legs bend. In terms of leg actions, we can get even more specific here. If you love going deep on poses like this, my no bullshit yoga pose library linked below in the description is where I go into all details on all of the poses, over 90 of them. If we look at the action of the legs, you get to see my butt now. We want our heels to be spinning out slightly. I'm exaggerating it here just to show you, but we don't want this. We don't want external rotation of the legs. We want to create space in the low back, and we do that by gently spreading the heels apart. When you're in downward facing dog, think about looking at your ankles, and you want to be able to see the fronts of your ankles, but not your heels. If you can see your heels in or out, you've gone too far. Try to hide your heels behind your ankles and then spin your inner thighs in and back as if you have a block and you're trying to give birth to the block between your legs behind you. And then firm your thigh bones up and back. We want the legs pushing backwards. Often what happens is this, we start to sink forward, the legs come forward, so push the upper thigh bones back, internally rotate the thighs, reach the heels towards the ground without forcing them to the ground. And then think, shoulder blades wide. Shoulder blades wrap around the sides of your rib cage. If you end up in cow pose in your down dog, meaning very sinky in the chest, you're missing the push power and the strength in the shoulders. So think about the same muscles that you use for plank pose. If you come into plank and you don't engage your push strength, your plank is gonna look a little bit like this. It's gonna sink down. So we want the core lifting up, the shoulder blades spreading wide, and the same action that you have here in plank, keep it, keep it, keep it, keep it the entire time as you send the hips back. So you should still feel this rounding of the upper back. It's less when you take the arms overhead, but it's the same work as your plank pose. Try not to dump into your flexibility. Now, there's times where you might want to dump into your flexibility because it just feels good. But if we're talking about the integrity of the pose, building the strength for the pose, downward dog is great preparation for poses like handstand, for example. It's going to be important to learn how to engage your shoulders and your upper arms properly and find that push away from the ground. All right, the last thing I'll say about down dog is the action that we're looking for is hugging everything in. I get a lot of messages from students going, Nat, when I'm in downward facing dog, my hands slip forward. First of all, a sticky mat is very helpful with that. Second of all, that's normal when we're not engaging everything in. So if your down dog is sliding your feet backwards and your hands are sliding forwards, that is a lack of engagement to the midline. So think about hugging your thumbs in towards each other, hugging your ankles in towards each other, and then actively pulling your hands back and your feet forward. You can even see the engagement in my body. When I pull my hands towards my feet, as if I'm trying to walk forward, but I'm not gonna actually move. I'm gonna isometrically pull my hands back and pull my feet forward, and you're gonna notice the entire front body turns on. The pose gets a lot harder, but your hands will not slide forward. Okay, when we disengage the pose and we just let the hands push forward and the feet push back and we don't hug things in and together, that's when we start to slide. And you might be like, but Nat, that makes my down dog so much harder. Yeah, but yoga is not meant to be easy. It's meant to inspire growth. It's meant to help us be in acceptance about where we are and watch as our body transforms over time, but more importantly, as our mind transforms over time. Can you be where you are without being disappointed, without beating yourself up, without wishing you were somewhere else? Because if you manage to do that on your mat, that's going to bleed into other areas of your life. Every single one of us wants things that we don't have yet, wants things that don't exist in our sphere yet. And can we be in appreciation and in gratitude for what is instead of constantly be reaching for what is not? And we can take step by step, little by little movement towards our goals. And we see that on our yoga mat just like we see it in the rest of our lives. If you've enjoyed this breakdown and you want more of them, check out the link in the description below to check out my no bullshit yoga pose library. I'll see you in the next video.